The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is brought to you by Clinica Sierra Vista.
Welcome back to the 17 News at Sunrise podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
All right, good morning here at 5 a.m. Thanks for waking up with us. I'm Maddie Jansen alongside Chris Burton in this morning for Alex Fisher. Today, schools and businesses continue to deal with the surge in coronavirus cases as thousands in Kern County are currently isolating at home sick with the virus. Since the beginning of the year, at least 13,000 people have been infected with the virus in Kern County. 244 people are currently hospitalized in local hospitals. 42 more are fighting for their lives in the ICU. Nearly half of all people in Kern County are fully vaccinated, far below the state and national average.
And as cases surge across the country and here in Kern, the virus is running rampant through our schools. With kids and staff members falling sick, officials are doing all they can just to stay afloat. Mary Highfield is doing her best.
I think we're hanging on by a thread right now. I think we are just pulled to both ends, and we're lucky that these people are professional and they love what they do, and so their dedication is really showing right now.
It's a scene familiar to educators across Kern County. School staffs stretched to their breaking points as COVID sidelines kids and adults. Last week, Highland operated at 75% staff, forcing teachers to pull double and triple duty.
The logistics of making sure there's a teacher for every classroom is probably the biggest struggle that we have right now.
And shortages abound across education staff. Norris School District shuttered its bus services for 2 weeks because it didn't have enough drivers. And districts are scrambling to find replacement staff.
Definitely looking to find more substitutes. I mean, the shortage on subs.
But every school district is looking to snap up extra staff members. Some schools have to accept there are no reinforcements on the horizon.
Well, of course, we all want to bring in outside help. The problem is there's no outside help to bring in.
Even with severe shortages, teachers, officials, and doctors agree. Whatever the cost, schools should stay open.
I know that we won't close the schools again. I can't say that with 100%, but I just don't think that's the right thing.
Constantly putting these kids on a roller coaster of school is open, school is closed, school is open, school is closed is just not fair to them. It really affects their mental health, and what they need in sort of a period of time like this is consistency.
Highfield says she'll get through it one day at a time.
Honestly, Chris, I don't look weeks ahead. I look at today, I get through today, and I will worry about tomorrow.
The Omicron surge is shifting life across Kern County. Tomorrow, I'll have a look at the long-term effects of the virus.
All right, thank you, Chris. California, meantime, has reached a grim new milestone in the ongoing coronavirus pandemic. According to an NBC News tally, the state has surpassed 7 million COVID-19 cases, becoming the first state to do so. California also has the highest number of deaths, with health officials reporting more than 78,000 lives lost since the beginning of the pandemic. It all comes as the Omicron variant continues to spread across the country.
And now to pedestrian safety. A man who was crossing the street in a wheelchair is dead after being hit by a vehicle in South Bakersfield this weekend. It happened Sunday, just after 9 p.m. on Lotus Lane near Melwood Street. BPD says when officers arrived, they located a man in the roadway. He was transported to a local hospital where he died from his injuries. The driver of the vehicle remained at the scene and cooperated with police. Investigators say the man who died was crossing the road outside of a crosswalk when he was struck. Drugs, alcohol, and speed do not appear to be factors in this collision.
A Shafter police officer's undergone surgery after he was hurt in a crash on East Lerdo Highway. It happened around 7:30 a.m. Sunday at Cherry Avenue and East Lerdo Highway. Officials say Officer Matthew Sanchez was outside his patrol vehicle east of the intersection when a driver rear-ended his patrol car. Foggy conditions are believed to have led to the crash. Officer Sanchez suffered moderate injuries and was taken to the hospital. In an Instagram post yesterday, the Shafter Police Department said Sanchez remains in the hospital after undergoing surgery. A GoFundMe account has been set up for his family. If you'd like to donate, you can find a link on our website, kget.com. Just click the hot link icon.
And all lanes are back open this morning after a semi-truck hauling carrots overturned on Highway 99 yesterday. It happened just before 11:30 a.m. on the 99 near Norris Road. The California Highway Patrol responded to the scene and brought southbound traffic down to one lane for cleanup efforts. As you can see in this video, the semi-truck is nearly falling off an embankment. No word yet on any injuries in this crash.
Happening around town, the Bakersfield Relay for Life is gearing up for another in-person run in a few months after going digital for the past 2 years. But a kickoff event set to begin this weekend has been postponed due to the increasing cases of COVID-19. The Kern County Fairgrounds will host the Relay for Life on May 7th and 8th. This year's theme is Freestyle Relay, Fight Cancer Your Way. Relay was planning to host its first event of the year Saturday at Mechanics Bank Convention Center, but yesterday announced that that event is being postponed and will be rescheduled later on. Relay reminds participants they can still register their team and participants or a survivor at relayforlife.org. For more upcoming events, you can check out the Bakersfield Relay Facebook page.
And just a reminder, KGET is teaming up with Haddad Dodge Ram and the Golden Empire Cleaners to tackle hunger in Kern County. Now through January 31st, you can test drive any vehicle at Haddad Dodge, and $10 will be donated to our local gleaners, or you can donate non-perishable food items right here at KGET Studios or at Haddad Dodge Lobby at the Auto Mall in Southwest Bakersfield.
And now to the latest on the national battle over voting rights. Let's take you live to Capitol Hill this morning, where the Senate will begin debating two contentious bills later today. NBC's Bree Jackson is in Washington with the latest.
Good morning, Maddie. Well, today the Senate will begin debate on two bills, the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act and the Freedom to Vote Act. But unless something changes, debate could be as far as it goes. Democrats bracing for an uphill battle on Capitol Hill today. At the center of the fight, voting rights legislation.
Where do you stand? Whose side are you on?
Debate begins today over two voting rights bills. The legislation could make Election Day a federal holiday and broaden access to the ballot box. Democrats argue it's an effort to counter dozens of state laws enacted after the 2020 election, which they say limit access to the ballot and discriminate against minorities.
It's no longer just about who gets to vote. It's about who gets to count the vote and whether your vote counts at all.
Republicans stand united against the legislation.
This is not about a fair election. This is about gaming the system and putting your thumb on the scale for Democrats to try to keep control of the Congress.
The debate comes on the heels of nationwide rallies commemorating the life and legacy of Martin Luther King Jr.
We will be free someday. We will get voting rights.
Supporters drawing on the civil rights leader's legacy to ramp up the pressure on Congress to act.
If you do not, there's no bridge in this nation that can hold the weight of that failure.
Democratic leaders will hold a vote this week on changing historic Senate rules that would allow Democrats to pass the voting bills without any Republican support. The debate over voting rights legislation will likely stretch into Wednesday before moving forward for a final vote. In Washington, I'm Bree Jackson, 17 News.
Here at home, hundreds came together yesterday to honor the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and those in our community who embody his legacy. The event celebrated those who've worked to improve the lives of the Black community in Kern County. One local pastor sharing his experience marching with Dr. King in Bakersfield. Among those honored was Michael Trihe, news director of 17 News and a journalist in Bakersfield since 1978. As a reporter for the Bakersfield Californian, Trihe wrote a series of special reports on wrongly convicted criminal defendants and on the conditions facing young African-American men in Southeast Bakersfield.
17 News is your local election headquarters. Jeff Flores, Chief of Staff for 3rd District Supervisor Mike Maggard, announced yesterday he will be running for Maggard's seat on the Board of Supervisors. Flores said weeks ago he wouldn't consider running unless Maggard decided not to seek re-election, and 2 weeks ago, Maggard did just that. Flores, who is also a Kern High School District trustee, says his focus will be on public safety and support of local law enforcement. Flores will be running against former California Highway Patrol Assistant Chief Brian Smith and former Bakersfield Homeless Center CEO Lewis Gill.
Looking ahead to tomorrow, the Greater Bakersfield Chamber of Commerce is holding a virtual panel discussion joined by statewide leaders to discuss the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, policy priorities over the next year, and key business issues impacting the economy. The panel will be moderated by Bakersfield Chamber President and CEO Nick Ortiz, who will be joined by Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development Senior Advisor and Director Dee Dee Myers, California Chamber of Commerce CEO Jennifer Barrera, and Tajon Ranch Company CEO Greg Bielli. It's happening from 11 a.m. to noon. We've placed a link to sign up for the free virtual discussion on our website. Just head to kget.com and click the hot link icon.
Meantime, local leaders this week will be holding panel discussion on fentanyl and the silent epidemic of people abusing the synthetic opioid. Bakersfield Recovery Service is hosting the event, which will include a Q&A panel with District Attorney Cynthia Zimmer, along with representatives from Bakersfield Police and the Kern County Sheriff's Office. They'll be discussing the destructive nature of the drug, its impact on our community, and the criminal justice system. A family that has lost a loved one to a fentanyl overdose will also be giving their testimony. The fentanyl forum is scheduled for Thursday from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. You can catch a live stream of the discussion on both the KGET and Bakersfield Recovery Services Facebook pages.
Welcome back in your 17 Health Watch. Adventist Health is holding a hiring event for nurses tomorrow. It's happening at the Padre Hotel on 18th Street in downtown Bakersfield from 2 to 7 p.m. You're asked to RSVP on Indeed.com and bring a resume, RN license number, surgical mask, and proof of COVID-19 vaccination or a negative test taken within the past 72 hours with you on the day of the event. They're hiring for positions in Bakersfield, Tehachapi, and Delano. Bakersfield Heart Hospital's once again been recognized by the American College of Cardiology for the hospital's demonstrated expertise and commitment in treating patients with chest pain. The hospital was awarded Chest Pain Center re-accreditation. The ACC says Bakersfield Heart Hospital demonstrated exceptional ability to evaluate, diagnose, and treat patients. CDC data shows that more than 730,000 Americans suffer a heart attack each year, driving home the importance of good treatment options.
Well, many people have a hard time finding those rapid at-home COVID-19 tests, but relief is on the way. Starting tomorrow, you'll be able to request free at-home COVID tests from a new website set up by the federal government. You can request those tests at covidtests.gov. The rapid tests will take 7 to 12 days to arrive, and each household will be limited to 4 free tests. You can also now get the tests at no cost through private insurance. The goal of this whole program is to stop the spread of the Omicron variant, but doctors say these tests are not always accurate. Kim Posey found out what these tests are good for and what they aren't.
At-home rapid COVID tests may soon be more available, but how accurate are the at-home antigen tests? Doctors tell the problem solvers a positive test result from one of these tests is likely valid, but a negative result is not definitive.
Maybe up to even a third of the tests may be false negatives.
Dr. Scott Joy is the Chief Medical Officer of HCA Physician Services Group Continental Division. He says if you have symptoms and test negative for COVID with an at-home rapid antigen test, it is not an automatic green light to go back to work or school. He says you should follow up with a PCR test, although it can take days to get those results, even with the limitations.
You have to deal with what you have on hand, right?
Dr. Joy says the at-home test is an important tool.
It's not a home run, but it's going to take a lot of positive people out of the mix, and hopefully they'll isolate for 5 to 10 days. And that decreases community spread.
The research is still coming in. In December, the FDA said these at-home rapid tests can detect Omicron, but may have reduced sensitivity. But one new study of the Abbott Binax Now showed it can detect most people infected with Omicron who are carrying high viral loads and are most likely to be infectious.
We're at least taking a fair percentage of people that are at least known to be positive, isolating them, decreasing the community spread.
Well, we're 18 days into 2022, and those New Year's resolutions might be getting harder to keep. In fact, a new survey conducted by one poll found that 2/3 of Americans have never successfully completed a New Year's resolution. Ouch. But not everyone's giving up. About 30% say they will achieve all of their goals. So how come so many people don't follow through? Those surveyed say it's because they tried to give up something they enjoy. Their goals were too big, or because they didn't have a good support system.
You know, Alex and I were talking about it yesterday. Support systems are so important when you're trying to meet goals like this. But also, a year is a long time.
It is. You know, and you have to have grace with yourself. You can't say, oh, well, I missed a day, therefore it's over.
Exactly.
So, I mean, you can just have a little grace with yourself and say, my goal is to get out, you know, mine was get out and walk 20 minutes every day. And if I miss a day, that's okay, but I can pick back up the next day.
Exactly. You know, I joked about missing my New Year's resolution, but I built days into kind of my calendar so that I have those days to give myself leniency if I, you know, I'm not feeling
that's
up
important.
to it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.